9:07. Good evening and welcome along to Business Today. I'm JORAMPAUL SONKO with Winnie Williams and Nakauchi on Sign Language. We're coming to you live from Plot 42, Nile Avenue. Hope you're doing well. Now, kickstarting it off from our daily report, we look at sustainable development in the private sector. Uganda Brewers Limited, an affiliate of East African Breweries Limited, which is overseen by beverage tycoon Diageo, has today addressed some of the questions that have been lingering in the minds of people, including their opinions on the alcohol bill and how they've managed to preserve the environment by reducing gas emissions. Ronan Ahawe reports.
In an effort to reduce consumption in one of Africa's most heavily consuming countries, Uganda is exploring legislation that would regulate bar operating hours and restrict sales as well as advertising of alcohol. Since it will reduce illicit alcohol and increase the tax base, Uganda Breweries Limited, which is the largest alcohol producer, claims that this is a good cause. However, it will become an issue if it negatively impacts the livelihoods of legitimate businesses.
If the bill is going to enhance that further by widening the net, that is absolutely fantastic. If it is going to be geared to hampering the livelihoods of those who are driving a legitimate business, then it would be, I think, an unfortunate outcome. But we believe the process is robust. The fact that it is going to go into the hands of members of parliament who are connected right down to the grassroots will have the proper perspective that is going to be there, and we are not worried about it because we know it will reflect the wishes and desires of the people.
There is also a plan to reduce carbon emission as it reduces on the burdens of imported fuel.
Brand new biomass energy facility. Biomass energy facilities that generate for steam to run our factories. We have just invested 37 billion Uganda shillings and we'll be launching this early next year. We are commissioning it now, but what does that do for us? One, we stop using fuel oil which is imported. That saves the country foreign exchange, but we also are using, therefore, waste material, which ordinarily would have been disposed of, to generate energy, to boil the water, to generate steam for a factory.
Approximately 10% of individuals in Kampala are connected to the National Sewerage Corporation grid. This is according to the Deputy Executive Director of KCCA, who was speaking during the launch of the Environmental Sustainability Report. The rest use pit latrines, pollute water supplies, and harm aquatic life, which will now change.
Because only 10% of the population in Kampala is sewer connected. But of course, if you connect to the sewer, your costs because your cost of water increase by about 50% if you get sewer connected, because you have to you have to use a flushing system. It increases your water bills. So most people do it for economic reasons to use pit latrines. However, the damage to society, the damage to the economy is so substantial. What are we doing about it? Of course, we plan to introduce what we call container-based pit latrines, whereby people, the feces are put in a plastic container. It is set up like a normal pit latrine.
More to that, more players are getting on board to ensure that this environment conservation happens.
To attract a private partner, a private sector investor to come and invest in it. It is the part of providing the container-based pit latrine that has to be subsidized. Good enough the number of NGOs that are ready to support, to come in and invest, because for that part it is not economic. It's not financially viable on its own. So we are in engagements right now with a company from Kenya to come and set up in Uganda.
Structuring businesses in a way that truly shares prosperity and value with Ugandans includes supporting aspirations such as bubu, tax contribution and employment, as well as environmental, social and governance impacts. Ronan Ahawe, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that, now we talk matters promoting SMEs' export competitiveness. To stimulate the growth of sustainable macro, small and medium-sized enterprises, the Ministry of Trade has embarked on the journey of training small and medium-sized enterprises as a way of ensuring that there is an import substitution on the Ugandan market, as well as focusing on the exportation of products towards the East African Community region, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. In response, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives has established the MSME Directorate to steer the development of the MSMEs in Uganda. This and more with Naomi Mutumba.
Despite being engines of growth for the economic development of Uganda and the rest of the globe, micro, small and medium enterprises now suffer from a lack of technical and business skills. As a result, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives has launched a program to teach people in leather skills with a goal of assisting the SME sector in Uganda.
This training is going to cover areas of footwear design, manufacturing, export readiness. It is also going to cover records keeping and management.
Leather and leather products is one of the avenues which the institution would execute its mandate of promoting enterprise development through training and advisory services. The leather sector is one of the sectors that has got very good opportunities for our people in producing different leather products, shoes, belts, and so on and so forth, which are in high demand by not only people in this particular country, but in the neighboring countries.
The government has developed policies, legislation and strategies for micro, small and medium enterprises, industrial and technological development, including offering machinery to ensure import substitution and looking forward to boosting exports to the East African community.
It is important that the people who are going to use this equipment acquire the right skills to be able to utilize this machinery and produce the best quality of products. As a country or as a government, our target one is to ensure that we have import substitution. We produce products that can substitute what we've been importing. And we also want to begin exporting, or we want to boost our export. We are already exporting, but we want to boost. You cannot export when your quality is not good. So this kind of equipment is going to enable these MSMEs and the training to be able to produce the right quality of products that can be exported within the EAC region, COMESA, and the entire Africa and even beyond Africa.
Statistics show that out of 35 million Ugandans, 77% are under the age of 30, and that more than 400,000 young people between the ages of 15 and 35 are released each year to compete for the 90,000 jobs that are open. With over 1 million businesses, micro, small and medium enterprises employs more people than any other informal sector, accounting for 93.5% of small, 4.1% of medium, and 2.4% of micro companies. Most small and medium enterprises will be able to create jobs if they are trained to use hides and skins.
Skills is the way to go, because Uganda is so endowed with so many natural resources, so many local materials, raw materials that are being taken advantage of by foreigners, and we as Ugandans are not getting the best from them. So I think that once we have the hands-on skills, we shall be able to transform some of the materials that we have that can bring us, good products, and we can get the best from our country. So yes, I think hands-on training is the way to go.
Well, we as a country have over 2 million cattle heads. So if you are talking about the hides and skins, almost every other household, especially in the rural areas, can actually benefit if this sector is enhanced. Now, so instead of exporting these hides and skins in the raw form, once we add value on these products from here, it means that would translate directly onto the opportunities for these people that are growing I've talked about only cows, but how about the sheep? How about the goats that we have got in this particular country? So you're looking at over 2 million jobs generally that can be created very fast if this sector is adequately developed.
Small enterprises employ between 5 and 49 and have total assets between 10 million Ugandan shillings and not exceeding 100 million Ugandan shillings. The medium enterprise employs between 50 and 100 with total assets of more than 100 million but not exceeding 360 million.
The training aims at supporting and facilitating the development of micro, small and medium enterprises who are majorly domestic entrepreneurs. Naomi Mtumba, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now besides that, let's look at the Patriotism Symposium. President Yoweri Museveni urged the youth to follow up on parish development model money. Museveni accused the youth of being irresponsible, which causes them to be loose, and it is properly something that they are missing out. Now, he made the remarks at the Youth and Investment Symposium over the weekend at Kololo Airstrip. Let's have more of this report.
Speaking to the youth and other professionals at the Patriotism for Youth and Investment Symposium with the topic Patriotism for Socio-Economic Transformation, President Yoweri Museveni called on the youth to fight corruption because government has sent money to their parishes. He advised them to go check on what is happening with their money and fight for their fair portion, adding that the youth should use their leaders to hold the government's resources accountable.
Mulondole abakulembeze bamwe mulwane ku sente zammwe. I am also fighting from this side. Nensindikayo aboketa. I send people to spy. But namwe mulwane ku mugabo gwamwe. But you should also fight for your portion. Fight corruption.
The occasion was also intended to honor the investors that made Uganda one of the top 10 investment destinations in Africa. That's according to the Minister of State for Investment and Privatization, Honorable Evelyn Anite. The top 50 extraordinary and ethical investors were recognized at the same occasion for their contribution towards the development of this country.
This function, by celebrating our responsible investors who are investing in this country but creating jobs by the enabling investment environment that you have created for Uganda, which has thus made Uganda to be number 10 among the top 10 best investment destinations in Africa.
President Museveni further called upon Ugandans to engage in 4 sectors of wealth creation, which include commercial agriculture, manufacturing, services, and information communication technology, ICT.
Let everybody who is not in the school and who is an adult involve himself in the 4 sectors to make money and create jobs.
Doctors were among the experts who came to the event. They applauded President Museveni for raising the pay of medical professionals and putting computed scans in every regional referral hospital. Doctors affiliated with the Uganda Medical Association, an umbrella organization, requested the government to hire more specialized physicians in these hospitals to raise the standard of health care. Pedson Mumbere, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Now, let's turn our eyes to Africa's industrialization. Members of Parliament have appreciated government of Uganda for the efforts it has made to ensure that Uganda is now among the top 10 best performers as far as industrialization is concerned. However, these have still cautioned government to speed up the minimum wage bill for Ugandans to benefit from these industries. We have more in this report.
According to the first report released by the African Development Bank, African Union and United Nations Industrial Development Organization, 37 out of 52 African nations have advanced their industrialization during the past 11 years, with Uganda ranking among the top 10.
I really want to appreciate the government effort for putting endeavors to industrialize and make sure that we do manufacture. I think we are all witnesses. When COVID came, we couldn't import most of the things we needed to curb the epidemic. But for starters, what did we see? We produced masks, we produced sanitizers. Industries that were even dealing in alcohol now changed to produce according to the need that was available. And I think with human nature, most times, we work with a lot of push and constraint. And truly, business is about meeting the needs that are required. So for me, today, Uganda to emerge the 10th out of so many countries that are moving fastest in industrialization.
Legislators assert that Uganda has long since set ideal conditions for industrialization, which have aided in the development of this nation.
Uganda has many minerals. Uganda is an agricultural-based economy country, and Uganda is adding value to those products. Uganda right now has over 5,000 industries in the country, and it's spread throughout the country, but the majority is within Kampala and Wakiso districts.
As you know that we are a developing country, so it is really interesting and it is very, very good for this country and for our people of Uganda. And secondly, as you see things the way they are moving, the industries are being opened up and down. We have industries, we have several industries in different areas of Kampala, of Uganda, which we really appreciate. It is providing jobs for people, for our youth. It's a good idea. It's a good development. It's a good development, and also it's going to sell our country to other nations and to other continents.
Uganda is one of the countries that is rapidly growing. Every investor is running to Uganda, and because of the good environment that the Ugandan government is giving people land and providing space and the good environment, people are running to invest in Uganda, and I'm not surprised that we are ranked that high.
The MPs have emphasized the necessity of the minimum wage bill, which will enable Ugandans to benefit from this industrialization because businesses currently exploit their workers.
The minimum wage bill is a human rights issue, because when I give you my labor, I should get paid the equivalent, which is not happening today. So the cry has been on. The legislators are willing, but the general top government, especially the president, needs to also add his willingness to it. That the business community should make a better analysis. That this money, if the minimum wage bill is instituted, accepted, passed by parliament and the president assents, this money goes back to them. Our purchase capacity will be boosted.
Minimum wage, we need to study it, and we get recommendation from the Minister of Labor, so that we see where we can put it. But I believe in getting minimum wage that is affordable. Right now, people are employing people at 200,000, which is less. So I think we could move to maybe minimum of 500,000, so that the lowest paid person gets maybe 500,000.
A minimum wage bill is the best thing for the country. But we are working on it as Parliament. It has not come to pass. But we shall see that it comes to pass. What I always tell people, Rome was not built in one day. You cannot do things. You cannot be like Europe just all of a sudden. No. I remember quoting President Museveni that he told you that it's not God to just stand and say, let there be no corruption, and there is no. I think that thing is very common. You always hear.
According to Honorable Richard Sibamala, Member of Parliament of Koto Central, the majority of these sectors are for foreign investors who are taking advantage of Uganda because we don't have a capital retention policy.
All the capital is being brought in by investors. These investors are allowed to take all of their money at the end of their term, because here is where we don't have what they call a capital, like I would say, a capital retention policy. You're free to come, make money, and go with all of your money. They call it profit repatriation. That if you come and make money, if you come and, like Roofings is here, it comes, puts up a factory, makes money. After making money, it takes all their profits to another country, to their homeland.
South Africa still remains in the first position, followed by Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, Mauritius, among others. Samlanifa, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at Uganda's industrial output. According to the African Development Bank's Industrialization Index 2022, Uganda is among the top 10 performers if you're to look at in terms of industrial development. This rating shows that Uganda's industrialization strategy is starting to pay off as the nation experiences growth in the production of goods with value added to it. Monica Nabyunga with the details.
Uganda is making progress in its pursuit for rapid industry expansion and development. According to the most recent data sets, Uganda has over 5,000 functioning industries across a range of sectors. Peka Industrial Park is one of the privately owned industrial parks founded in June 2015 with over 19 fully operational factories engaged in a value addition of a variety of goods. Despite the park's rapid growth, factories face a number of challenges, including poor road infrastructure and inadequate market for the manufactured goods.
Now, on the financing side, we have never received any financial support. I don't think Export Promotion Board has ever been here. Now, all those agencies are supposed to be supporting a center like ours, but they have never showed up. Investment support, they give you, now we are stuck on work permits, but they give us the licenses allowing us to exempt some duties and some facilitation. And now we are stuck with work permits, I think for 2 years now, there is no clear response.
The government has been encouraged to assist the private sector in seeking out Western markets to increase exports and maintain sustainability in order to address the market's difficulties.
Uganda government, you need to support the private sector to come and look for the market. You may find that the private sector, they don't have the capacity in terms of monetary capacity to come and look for the market. But you can help them, fund them to come and benchmark with what other countries have done, the Ghana, the Senegal, which have managed to access this market. You need to support. I think the private sector needs a lot of support from the government, not only from the policy side, but you need also to put in money. Of course, we need to add a value for whatever we export. But the thing is, are we ready? We need to start going back on a realistic table and ask ourselves, are we ready for the Western market, especially the UK and American market? Can we sustain the market? Like if you get a node of supplying 80 tons of either beans a month, do you have the local capacity in terms of the business people who can sustain that kind of demand?
This occurs shortly after Uganda and China signed a memorandum of understanding under which Uganda will export 98 of its goods to China tax-free.
We had a beautiful trade exchange with China, where China gave us 98% of our product lines. That comes to about 8,333 product lines, duty-free, quota-free. And this means that our traders can easily benefit from the market of 1.4 billion Chinese people if they were to supply anything to China successfully, and there's uptake in China. That would be the uptake in the market. So the whole thing about trying to find new markets for Ugandan products, this is a breakthrough because it's already a very big market in existence.
According to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, there is a competition bill that has been introduced before Parliament, and there are high expectations that it will assist control unfair competition among industries.
Competition bill, at the moment, it's not yet become an act. It's been laid before Parliament as of yesterday, first lay, and we think that it's going to help traders as well as industrialists in terms of fair competition. There's a lot of unfair competition going on, and once the markets are regulated, people should be able to compete on level ground and be able to find recourse in terms of trade activity.
The Ministry of Trade reports that more than 8,300 factories are located in Uganda's 15 industrial parks, of which 3 are government-owned and 12 are privately owned. Monica Nabyunga, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, stick around to SMART24 television as we return with more after the break. Stick around. SMART24, driving business.
Mukwano,
Yes?
I need you to help me watch the kids. I'm going to pay school fees.
I've finished.
Excuse me.
Relax. Sit down, watch TV. I've already paid.
Chikole for less, hakuna hassle, no stress. Whether night or day, tuli okay. Wanga tuli ku flexi.
Don't hustle to pay bills or send money. Chikole for less. Ne flexi pay. Hold it.
Chikole for less with FlexiPay. Dial *291# to transact or download the FlexiPay app to get started. Stanbic Bank. It can be. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, up to 10 million shillings.
Sky. Futimbuto, the taste of Uganda in a new international park.
SMART24, driving business. We'll be back from the break. Let's continue with more business today. I'm still with Winnie Williams and Akauchi on sign language. Now we look at the new market that has been commissioned by KCCA, and in a fight to decongest the city, KCCA commissioned a market for the street vendors who have been fighting with the enforcement team, where some even lost their lives. The newly opened market, named Gwanda Market in Kisenyi, aimed at accommodating the street vendors from the Kampala Central, and for other divisions, KCCA has proper plans. We have more in this report.
The commissioned market, according to Bukenya Henry, head of commercial services at KCCA, is meant to relieve the city from overcrowding of street vendors in response to their constant demands for any convenient location for them to operate from.
The market, first of all, has been commissioned, but it has been commissioned resulting from the outcry from vendors. You remember when the year was beginning, there was an exercise of relocating all of vendors operating on Kampala streets. But because one of the areas where we are supposed to relocate them are the markets, of which very few markets had the required number of spaces where they could occupy. So that's why, in an effort to look out for areas where they can work from, we zeroed on Gwanda Market, where we have put them. But it has also been their cry that during this festive season, that's when they make money. And because majority of them have been so much scattered, it wasn't easy for them to make the ends meet.
He continued by outlining the criteria by which hawkers acquire stores in order to prevent situations which one person owns multiple booths for the benefits of those who work in the commissioned markets.
Is going to operate in this market. These are purely street vendors who have been operating on the streets. Then the other issue about how much they are supposed to pay for acquiring a store, it is free. There is no any payment that is required. What you just need is to approach the vendors leadership, but you must be a vendor. That is the first thing. And if you have been a vendor operating on Kampala streets, so the leadership of vendors should be having you in their records. So what you just need to do is to get to them, they will allocate you space. But in the case, because that place is also not so big, I don't know whether you've been there. So, and given the number of vendors that used to operate on our streets, there are still men out there that still need to get areas where they can operate from. So we are hopeful that whereas that will somehow give us some bit of relief.
According to Lubega Richard, the chairman, Federation of Kampala Hawkers and Vendors Association, market organizations are still being closely monitored to make sure that vendors have a place to work from. He also pledged to follow up on hawker issues to make sure that President's directive is faithfully carried out.
I thank the President for thinking about the poor Ugandans who have been fighting with KCCA for some good time. And as you may see, the organization of stalls is ongoing, and we are giving out stalls freely, and to anyone found renting, they will be forced to vacate the market because there are laws that guide all vendors in every market. So with those departmental organizations, this market will be effective.
Some of the hawkers who have secured stalls have expressed their happiness and shared their future prospects.
I
have been working at Nakivubo draining channel. When I heard that there is a place allocated for us, I just ran straight here to secure myself a stall. And I'm happy that I have started making some good money, which was not a case before. I've been selling plastic carpets at the old tax park since 1994, but I'm happy that finally I have secured myself a stall. And now I'm free to open at any time of convenience for me without fear of losing my capital.
Hawkers have been stranded in the city center due to the fact that they lack where to work from. But since KCCA has started to secure places for them, this is soon ending. Desire Nambiru, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Desire Nambiru on that report. Now we move on to fighting housing poverty. Due to their average monthly salary of $65 being below the poverty line, more than 2/3 of Ugandans reside in suburb housing. It is obvious that the absence of inexpensive, high-quality housing jeopardizes people's health and possibilities for growth, perpetuating the cycle of poverty in the country. The government and the Habitat for Humanity are battling housing poverty by providing them with access to quality accommodation. We do have more in this report.
According to Vision 2040, the government commits that by 2030, it shall ensure access for all to adequate, safe and affordable housing and basic services and upgrade slums. The emergency of newly poor people who would have exited poverty in the absence of the pandemic but remains poor, and those that have fallen into poverty on account of the pandemic. This has led to rising inequalities, especially in the housing sector, implore that we need to work together to find common solutions, especially for the low-income earning society, in order to achieve government's provision of decent shelter, clean water and sanitation facilities.
Government has recognized housing as one of the key areas that need strategic interventions. That's why in our program approach, in the NDP3, housing and urbanization is a special program. And some of the interventions is to have targeted interventions, especially for the vulnerable in the slums. Give training, we give capacity building, we give free services like architectural plans, we give free services like planning. And as we talk, the Directorate responsible for housing gives out what we call prototype plans. These are architectural plans that have been prepared by the ministry, which in most cases tends to be very expensive for those who want to build, but these are now provided for free and they can be presented to any local government and then they are approved and customized to the area where they are. And through that, partly we fight housing poverty.
Various programs have been put up to address the problem of housing poverty through housing finance, local government and youth programs. These provide various opportunities to Ugandans in order to have accommodative, affordable and conducive livelihoods.
Also promoting what we are calling village savings and loan associations, where we support the communities to be able to raise income from themselves, and that we believe we're able to put some money in their pockets to be able to address the issues of poverty housing. As mentioned by the director, we also, through housing microfinance, we give out some grants. And right now we're working with Nile Microfinance to give out loans to communities to be able to do incremental housing. And based on that, we believe that we'll be contributing towards addressing housing poverty.
The government is excited to put vulnerable group housing into place to finance housing, to offer market-based technical assistance, and to help local governments as they deliver adequate, safe and affordable housing as well as fundamental services. Martha Nimsima, SMART24 TV, Business Today.